Hi everyone, I want to talk about Tesla real quick. I came out the other day and said that I was bearish on the name, and I still am, because the stock is in a bear setup. However, bear in mind that the indices are still bullish. Okay? I don't know what the central banks around the world are cooking up, but we're still in a bull trend, and I don't like to short momentum names like Tesla in a bull trend. They're notorious for squeezing you in such instances. Tesla has made a higher low right here. This was an enormous bullish engulfing candle, usually a sign of strength, usually a sign of long-term buyers stepping in. Really hard to crack those on the downside. They usually hold up for quite a little while. Over here, you got that on the other side, right? You get this massive bullish Maribosi, Japanese Maribosi style candle, very bearish, right? We came up, got back about half of it, which is normal, was a little bear flag, and down we flushed. What's happening here in Tesla is that we had a massive bounce and we gave some back, and that's normal. All right, we came down, we filled the gap. Okay, buyers stepped in, we got a hammer. We're holding yesterday's lows. So for right now, this is hands off on the short side. No one knows how high this runs. It's got to crack the low of this candle. Okay, it's got to crack 204. I got out somewhere around 207, 208 on the downside. It opened below the previous day's candle. I shorted and wrote it down and did great. I'm really glad I got out, and this is why I got out. Okay, we filled this gap. That was pretty much the biggest bear scenario you could hope for. It came up. I expect this to move higher. If the indices move higher, I expect this to move higher. It can still fall down some. We can fall down and give back half of this candle. I don't expect this candle to get washed away just yet. The indices are still looking bullish in the intermediate term. They too can have some give back, but I think the risk is for this to squeeze higher. And there's a lot of areas to target. There's a gap right here that never filled, right around the 200-day at 230. If the market gets in a bullish move, it can continue. We get another gap up here, right there, 244. Another one right here, 247. Another one right here, 255. And even one up here at 278. Tesla could grind higher, fill that gap, not make new highs, and get clobbered again. But for now, the bearish move in Tesla may very well be over. If you want to day trade it to the short side, you can. There will be some significant drops in the stock, but it can still march higher. All right? Do not take out any long-term puts on Tesla just yet. If it fails to make an all-time new high and breaks down, that could be a very, very juicy short setup that rewards you very, very well. It's not something I'm going to take a long on right now because I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks, and there's still a very big risk it could drop downwards, but really that's just my fear, and your fear is usually telling you to do the opposite. So there's a very good chance it squeezes higher. If I do take a position on it, I'm going to take a small long. I will not short the stock. I will see where it leads next. You can see right here, it made a low, came up, made a higher low, and look at this grind. This lasted for a few weeks and came up and broke out of a cloud and was even looking like it was going to race up and test the high, and then suddenly fell out of bed and totally broke down again. We could very well be headed for that again. We get a gap here at 218, multiple gaps above. The 200-day is above us. The 50-day is above us. There's not a whole lot underneath us, perhaps the 5-day. And even that, we have not regained. The 5 days at 214 and change. But remember, stocks like this is a classic head and shoulders, shoulder, head, another shoulder, didn't break down. Started to break down, rallied, failed, but there's nothing preventing this from coming up and making another big shoulder here. The 260 area, 240 area. These are all potential magnets. Tesla is still highly shorted. Whenever it breaks down, it draws in the shorts, and that's a bad thing if you're shorting. I would look towards one of these areas. 240 is going to be really hard for the stock to get over. 248 region looks about right. Could squeeze even a little higher. You got a gap here. One of these gaps will probably act as resistance and hold the stock down. But it's not a long-term short. Stay away from it on the short side unless you're doing it intraday. If this lagging span right here gets above previous price action, that's when I tend to see heavily shorted names pop and at least make their way up towards the cloud, and that's 30 points higher. So stay away from Tesla on the short side. The indices got oversold. Bonds were wildly overbought, and that's probably going to reverse. Markets tend to revert back to the mean. Okay, this has gotten way away from its moving averages. Even the 200-day is up here. Let's add it back so you can see it. And the mathematical probabilities are for this to snap back. It's not a long for me right now, and if I do take a long on it, it'll be small, and you're going to have to sit through some pretty nasty chop. All right.